These are the things we don't talk about enough. Yeah.
Hurt women, hurt men,
She.
hurt women.
It feels like a crime to be feminine. Got our mechanism on defense like all the time. Fine like wine, divine. But boys be slime, the sneaky picking that forbidden fruit. Suggest to press monoti ba touchy barrow. When we say no more but my yita genaro. Desert us like Pharaoh. Your marrow is shallow, that's why your spine so. But our backbone be strong, that's why we stand tall and speak. Defiance.
No to silence, no to violence. Defiance.
I believe that music is more than just a tool. I believe that music is a transcendent thing that can be used in society to shape systems. And it doesn't matter like which community you're coming from, which generation you're a part of, your sex, your gender, the color of your skin. It is literally a language that everyone can understand. So I chose music because I believe that what I'm trying to push for requires a similar language so that I can be able to articulate what I want to do. And I believe that music has that power. It transcends just the physical part of an issue, but it speaks to the innermost part of who we are as a people. It shapes even the way that we think. So when we're talking about systems or like cultures, we're talking about tapping into the subconscious, that people can understand that we can rewire the way that we think to form systems that are more respectable, or that people can experience with peace and without having to feel that you are exempt or you're not a part of the change that we want to see. So that is why I chose music.
That unfolded itself during her bedtime was a crime that could have been a headline. So she tells you she's fine, although she's not, because it seems better to bury the pain than what? It's what this is for the little girl who secretly calls herself auntie.
I chose violence against women. Other people might want to term it as gender-based violence, and I chose it because it is a topic that speaks to me at a personal level, because I've experienced it. Because I'm a woman, and being a woman is literally sometimes such a disadvantaged position, because it comes with so many ills, and I feel it was something that I could just hone onto because I understand it from a personal level. So that is why I chose it. And I believe that with my gifting and how passionate I am about it, I'm able to speak on it, not from oh, it's something that I should be doing, but something that I really want to do. So it's like showing my personal experience so as to touch other people in a very intimate and personal way.
As women are tired of being oppressed, stressed, depressed, and compressed, it's a mess. How the same boys who were once baptized in our blood at birth have turned to make
40% of women between the ages of 19 to 49 here in Zimbabwe have been subjected to violence against women in the physical and sexual manner. And this has been done by intimate partners, of which the demographic of like the population that is mostly perpetrators of violence against women in the entire world are intimate partners. And this is alarming because these are people that these women will be trusting. But that puts us in a disadvantaged position, because we are trying to establish relationships with this community. But if a person who's that close to you is willing to do something to you that is so bad or so ill, that means we need to be checking ourselves as a community or a people. And then when we want to look at like cases of male suicide, because I understand the reason, like the angle that I'm trying to touch this subject from is the why this is happening rather than what is happening, because I feel like that's been done so many times. Like people want to talk about gender-based violence or violence against women from a this is what is happening perspective. But I want to show the reason it is happening, as in why men would want to harm women. And it is really coming from a position of men not being given a space for them to talk about issues that affect them. So the displaced aggression is a product of that. So there is something that we need to be doing in order to unify these people within the gender spectrum, but by understanding the why men are doing it and what is happening to women as a product thereof.
But my pride parades itself in the form of my mind prevents me from talking about it because it wants to remain a secret, so I shush.
I think we need to be prioritizing like the mental health of men. especially in like the business spaces, because I understand like when it comes to corporate spaces, it's not really honed onto, like people just talk about people going to work or, you know, people giving equal opportunities to women and men, but then we don't really need, like, understand that there is a need for them to be taking care of themselves mentally so that they can perform well, or even have a good relationship with members of the opposite sex or those of varying gender. So I believe that we need to prioritize mental health, especially when it comes to men. And also we need to prioritize the voices of women. That means the creation of spaces for women to really look into their abilities and see how that can affect communities positively when we're talking about policy making, and even having women in leadership spaces or women in political spaces as well. We need to be understanding their position already and their unique capabilities, because I believe that gender equality doesn't mean that we are the same. I believe that it means that we are differently equal. So a man and a woman can be doing the same job or the same line of work, but they do it so uniquely, it's going to have a similar or even a drastic result that's completely opposite, but it's very much positive. So we need to be checking the systems that we already have in place to see how we can uniquely suit the gender so that we can have like the best ultimate result.
We've been struggling to speak about the things that make us really weak, preventing us from standing at the peak, and the truth that we seek is always under all of their critique, and the future seeming silly, really bleak. Hanzi Mukadzi is a lesser being, so let's show her what strength is in the form of fist and kiss her to help her forget. But hey,
what I do before I create anything or perform anything is pray. So I want it to be coming from something that is outside of myself, because if I think within myself or think about myself, I'm limiting myself, and I trust God in everything that I do. So I pray first before I write. And then when I start to write, I literally, it's very, it's very crazy, but I put circles on a paper. And then like there's the main topic that I want to talk about, and then I start dissecting it. So I kind of have debates with myself sometimes so that I can have the most critical outcome. So if I'm talking about, like for instance, violence against women, I'm not just gonna look at it from a, okay, what is happening, but I'll look at it from a why it's happening, because I have critically analyzed the topic. And then after that, I structure it in a way that is like more rhythmic and has a harmony, and then try to make it appealing to the demographic that I'm trying to attract. So that means shaping it like in a musical way that relates to that demographic. And then I start to like practice it, try to put it into my subconscious so that it becomes a part of who I am. So if I'm ever to perform the piece or share the piece or talk about the piece, it's more of a part of me rather than something that I just crafted. I want, and I really hope that people will start thinking critically about these situations so that we can come with a more impactful solution to the systems that are already in place. I'm a Christian, so I'm just going to reference a part in the Bible that I feel is very important when we try to look at these situations. You know, it says so in Genesis 1. So this is literally in the beginning of the world. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? And darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of the Lord was hovering over the face of the waters. Like it literally says that the earth was without form and void. And then when we go to verse 3, it says, and then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So when we want to look at how the earth was before God spoke, it was literally like a devoid place, a place without form. It wasn't a pleasant place to be. But then when God then spoke, He spoke light into it and became good. Whatever God created was good, because even when He was creating what He was creating, it was good. So, but then because humanity is so flawed, because we have sin and all of that, that is the reason we have disparities, is because the world is ultimately flawed. So when people speak, they usually like speak things of destruction, unlike God, who speaks to build. So I'd like to encourage people, or this is something that I want to do through my art, is to speak words that build. I want to be a source of construct rather than a source of destruction, because I understand that by nature of us being humans, we are people who consume. Whenever I'm in association with someone, they are consuming something from me, and I am consuming something from them. So by association, we are getting or receiving something from each other. But when people listen to me, I want them to be getting something that will empower them and build them up and help them to think critically and help them to be the best version of themselves, just like how God did it in the Genesis, how he builds through his words. It doesn't matter if you're coming from a disadvantaged place, or you're just not well within yourself. You know, mental health is so real, mental illness is so real. We don't talk about these issues enough. And even if you've been in a really bad position and like you've been questioning yourself because of who you are, I need you to understand that you're so important. Like, you are so relevant. You just need to get it out of yourself, to find it in yourself and give it to the world. Package it in a way that is palatable and it relates to you. And don't be afraid to pursue the things that make your dreams a reality, because negativity will always be there. There will be conflict. There will be people who don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, but you need to be solidified in the vision that you want to see ultimately, and just pursue it knowing that God is in that idea that you have, and you need to be believing in him and believing in yourself and what you're capable of doing. So yes.